Wingabo interwebs. I'm Veghead Vic. This is my first post about a celebrity vegetarian, so I wanted to go with Sir Paul McCartney. So to give you a very brief background about Sir McCartney, he was the bass player and vocalist and songwriter for the Beatles. He was born in Liverpool, England in 1942, and he's been a vegetarian for around 40 years, so that's a really long time. The Guinness Book of World Records says that he's the most commercially successful songwriter in pop music. This article was actually written in 1992, so it's a little bit old. Paul McCartney talked a little bit about how, as a child, he really loved nature and he loved to go looking for bugs and salamanders and things like that. And he said that being with the Beatles and being around all that, buzz, really made him forget about nature and that sort of thing. Isn't that, kind of ironic, though? I mean, they're called the Beatles, right? So after Paul's marriage to Linda, the two began taking more frequent trips to the countryside, and they decided to renovate a farm that Paul had there. They began taking care of their farm animals themselves, and Paul says that there came a day when him and Linda kind of realized, hey, the meat on our plate really isn't different than that lamb out there. And so that was really the turning point, and he and Linda decided to become vegetarians. Sir McCartney didn't really start out as an animal activist, but as, he continued on with being a vegetarian, he has said that, once you're a vegetarian and you realize that what you're doing saves animals' lives, you kind of just gradually move towards activism. The article also includes Paul touching upon the spiritual changes that he began to observe in his life. He tells this little story about how his daughter comes back from school, and that day they were debating whether it was ethical to eat meat or not. And she comes back to her father and she says, I had a really good, clear conscience about it. So the article also talks about, why he thinks people were reluctant to go vegetarian, and a lot of it is because traditionally we just eat meat. That's just part of our meal. So I'm going to read you a quote from the website, eatveg.com/Paul. So he's talking about the transition from the tradition of eating meat to, non-traditional sort of meals that are more plant-based. The other thing, talking about this transition thing we're going through, is that I don't think people realize that when they're eating meat, they don't want to think that this animal you're eating has had its throat slit, what? Or that it's died in pain and it's been hung upside down and bled. When people start talking about that at meal times, you say, oh, come on, leave it out. Ooh, maybe I should do it like Paul McCartney. Oh, come on, leave it out. Ew, that's a really bad British accent. Think Harry Potter, think Harry I don't know. Shoot. You want your chicken pre-packed and clean. Women do not want to stuff their hands into a chicken and pull out the giblets. People try to hide the fact that they're actually eating something that had a face and a heart, something that had a soul. And that's another tradition. In most of the books you read, it holds that animals don't have souls. That's something I don't agree with. I think it's so pompous of mankind to pronounce that. What? Has somebody gotten inside an animal's head and found out? It's very convenient, I think, to hide it all away. We want our meat clean. We want it pre-packed. No giblets from the supermarket and all that. We want clean meat, but unfortunately there is no such thing. If you want to read the rest of the article, just head on over to eatveg.com/Paul. I'll post a link on my blog, and if you'd like to see more about Paul McCartney's animal activism, you can head over to PETA.com. He has a campaign with them. I'll also post a link to that. So I hope you enjoyed this video about Paul McCartney and his vegetarianism. Oh, I keep saying vegetarianism. Wait, that's right. Vegetarianism. Okay, vegetarianism. So I hope you enjoyed this post about Paul McCartney, my first review of a vegetarian celebrity. If you have any questions, or if there's a vegetarian celebrity that you'd like to see featured on this vlog, you can head on over to my Facebook page. Just search Veghead Vic. Click like to become a fan. You can leave a post if you're on my blog. You can write a comment below this post. If you're on YouTube, you can send me a message. How do you say that? I don't think people realize that when they're eating meat, they don't want to think. Oh, okay.